Thank you for your curiosity. Our guest today is destined to be a world MMA champion and definitely the newest addition to Combate Global, which we're all excited for. Alejandra Azul Lara is in the goddamn room today, so thank you for your time.
Nah, thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here today. So I do want to start the podcast. I typically ask this question in the beginning because I do understand that in order to really kind of get a glimpse of the future and really understand the present, we kind of have to dig into the past just a little bit. Don't have to go too far into it briefly. But as a child, what were you like? Because you have that vibrant culture from Colombia, and then I believe you transitioned to Mexico. But is there like some type of jump in that time, or is there like a different subset in your life? Did it change drastically from going from Colombia to Mexico?
Yeah, actually, when I started in all of these, I was 17, and then I met this guy who offered me to be a manager. Is Hector Castro. I've been working with him since I started because he offered me to send me to the US, and that was my first trip. So I went to New York. I trained in all of these gyms. I went into the Shark Tank with no having a good English yet, and you know, just exploring and watching if this is okay. Is this my thing? And then after getting punched, you just say, oh, okay, I like this. And uh, as a Colombian, I have a lot of things that here in the US are so different and so scary. I wasn't independent enough to face those things. So when we met the Grasos team in Mexico, that was like a big door that opened for me and was so much easier to adapt to the culture, to the ways of moving, and I felt so free and independent that I fell in love with that feeling, and that's why I stayed there for 8 years.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, when you're closer to something that's close to your culture, it always feels better. I'm Dominican from New York, so if you go to certain parts of New York, they don't speak any Spanish. It kind of makes me a little nervous. But then I go down to Manhattan, and there's my people again. I'm up at Dykeman. We go through all Queens. A lot of Latinos there in Queens, and so the community's so big that it's always like it's almost warm and inviting when you get there. So I'm
Yes.
happy that it wasn't like a big culture shock. I think that's awesome. It does allow you to feel a little less stress or like that tightness in your shoulders, so that's awesome. But can you take us back to the beginning of your martial arts odyssey? Like, what inspired you to start training martial arts, and where did you begin as far as the discipline? Excuse me.
Okay, I have to say that I have born being an athlete. Doctors say to my mom before I was born that, okay, your child have a lot of energy and you need to do something about it. And even I was 1 year old when they took me out from my first baby care because they say, oh, your girl needs more attention because she's so active. And my mom always gave me that, and she went with me to this and there, to train, to sing, to dance, to do whatever, to explore what I liked. And then I started in karate when I was 4 years old, and I fell in love with this philosophy. Maybe at that time, at that point, I didn't understood that, but I started training, and I started with belts and everything. I went into green belt, and then we moved other place, other house, and then I found again at 8 years old. I went back to karate, and I had even my notebook with the values, with the dojo kun, that is the values of karate, and I have that so deep in my mind, in my heart, as a martial artist. That yeah, that's something that I love. And then I was swimming and high diving and roller skating, singing again. Singing was a big part of my life too. But then at 12, I was coming out from a synchronized swimming class. And then I saw this group of children doing karate, and I say, oh, I know that. I've been in there before. And then I asked the sensei, hey, can I join you guys? And he say, yeah, you're welcome. And I started with them. And after some years, the sensei told me that some girls in the group went out because I punched them very hard. It was like, oh, oopsie, you know. But that's when my competitive life started, and I went representing my state, and I started, as an athlete.
That's phenomenal. I mean, I got a little scared when you said high diving. I think I would have probably passed out. They would have been like, jump in, and I would have been like, and fell right into the water. They were like, go ahead. I did it in the Navy. They had us do it like for the training.
Uh-huh.
I thought I almost had a stroke. I hit the water and then I landed so far deep into the pool that I was like, okay, I'm still alive. And then I started swimming back up. It's intimidating. The fact that you did it that young. I mean, kudos to you and your mom. Y'all are tough, because I would have passed out of fear. Just what I do.
No,
Not
I
that.
have always loved heights, and even like after in the university when I discovered aerial silks and pole dancing, that I loved always to go as high as possible and things like that. Yeah, it was like that.
So you have a love for heights, and you seem to love the adrenaline, the energy of like doing something that to most people they're probably like, that's risque, and you're like, nah, it's not. It's a good time, and you go for it. So definitely like the adrenaline energy that you got, and you like that adrenaline junkie mentality. So I respect that. But what was that pivotal moment that ignited your passion for MMA? Because can you walk us through like that first fight at Extreme Combat MMA? I think it's
Friendship.
Shenshi Ki won. When you did that first event, like, can you talk us like the leading months into that particular event?
Okay, yeah. So I was at the time changing from karate to kung fu because I liked to explore and to learn sanda. And as I enter in these new martial arts, I discovered these shoots and wrestling projections. That was my first close up to that. And I realized, oh man, I love these crushing people. And at that time, I used to play with fake swords too. That was one thing that I liked so much. And then one day, with those guys, with that circle, they say, "Oh, let's do a fight club." And I was like, "Oh, interesting. Let's do that." Because I had a karate background, but I was the only girl there, and I was 16, and they were like guys in their 20s, and I say, okay, I don't care, let's go. And even my ex-boyfriend from that time was there, and we had a round together. And then this guy was like, I don't care, you're a girl, I'm gonna punch you, like. And I say, okay, let's go. And was bare hand, and that was the first time that I actually get this feeling of, oh yeah, that's how it is. Also, I kick them in the face, and I say, oh, this is so fun. I just realized that I like that. And then when they offered me to fight MMA, I didn't know what was that, but I say it's pretty similar to what I was doing. So I say, why not? That was always my word. Why not? And I took that fight, and after that fight, after that one, is when they sponsored me to start training MMA after my first pro fight.
Now, see, that's definitely an opening key. Sanda is not really recognized in America, unfortunately. I wish it was. It should get more recognition, and it's a very phenomenal striking sport, and it does resonate more with MMA than I think people give it, the respect of. Down in Texas, it's huge, but most states they don't have Sanda clubs. So I'm really like, that's really cool that you got the Sanda experience. And also you got cracked, and the first thing you thought was like, yeah, this is a good time. I I respect it, but excuse my language, but I feel like you're the kind of person when you were growing up as a kid, you're probably like, fuck it, let's see how this goes, and just jumped right in, didn't you?
Yeah, that's the word. That's the feeling.
I had a feeling that was what it was. But when it comes to TikTok and IG, I see that you're always dancing. And I don't know if dance is like, does it resonate deeply with you? And like, does it complement you as a fighter? Or is it just something that's separate from fighting that you love dance, and it is something that makes you feel, it's one of those arts that some people don't understand that it is reflective of a person when they do dance. It's meant to kind of pull out the emotions of that individual. Do you feel that way too? Or is that something that dance does for you?
Well, this is where we come to where my nickname come from, because Azul means blue in English, and for me it represents all of that artistic and deep part that is like my essence. And I have always had this deep relationship with music and with dance, but no very like a choreography style, but very into movement and exploration of movement that I always had. And as I told you, when I started in university, uh, my biggest discover was aerial silks, because I felt like that need of expressing myself through movement, and also the pole dancing, and also, the improvising. I started studying dance after, and then I started with ballet and contemporary dance, and that was something very fulfilling for me. Because yeah, like my soul have that need of expressing itself, and through the music, through the movement, so it's part of who I am. And it's very natural. Like, I have never planned to go out walk out dancing. That just came naturally from within, and I keep doing that. And is part of who I am as a fighter too, of course. I have always had this particular style also when I'm doing grappling or, striking, that I move differently and I'm more flexible and I'm blah, blah, blah. And it's everything related to that.
Okay, I can see where that kind of meshes, and I've watched enough of your fights to know that you move very flow-like. It's everything is flow, and I love that symmetry that you have. And I
Like
asked you about
water.
your name, and I'm happy that you did that, just like water. I mean, you call yourself a mermaid, so I think that's pretty dope. That's actually I think that now makes a little more sense. I was like, mermaid. I wonder why. Maybe she just loves the ocean, but now it makes more sense. So I like that one.
Yeah. And also because I had a big, big relationship with aquatic sports. And also I did apnea since I was a child. Swimming was one of my first sport, and I always return to that. And after the synchronized swimming, and then the underwater rugby, that is another extreme sport that I did. And yeah, right in here in San Diego, that was one of the signs that to find deep end fitness, that it's underwater training. When I started there, they say, oh my god, you're a mermaid, and you can hold your breath for so long, so don't you want to be an instructor here? And I say, of course, I'm into this and I'm down for that. And I started the course, and I started as an underwater trainer instructor. Yeah, trainer.
So that explains the cardio, because I watched your last fight, and you just it just seemed like you never got tired. I was like, how the heck? What kind of cardio is she doing? So it makes sense. A lot of the athletes that do the swimming, even those who have asthma that swim, you can see the difference in their gas tank. They're just really consistently able to push an anaerobic threshold. So that definitely plays a lot of dividend to it.
And I
But
think that it's always also related to the mental work. That is the apnea, the meditation, and all of that give you more cardio, because it's a mental thing. When you can keep yourself calm and go in a flow state, then you can keep going even in a hard environment.
right, because you can keep the vagus nerve from getting too hyperactive, and that makes a lot of sense. But I started realizing the correlation. A lot of the athletes that I watched growing up, I didn't know half of these guys had asthma because they're fighting for 15 minutes straight, and I'm like, how are they not tired if they have asthma? I couldn't imagine trying to fight under those conditions, and then come to find out, majority of them do swimming, and so that helps them control their breathing better. So that
For
makes
sure.
a lot of sense in that particular instance. Despite the intensity of a fight, you show remarkable mindfulness. Like, how do you maintain focus despite you mentioned before that you're a sensitive person, and between the sensitivity and amidst all the chaos of combat, how is it you've been able to kind of manage that during the fight?
Well, I think I'm still working in that, because I feel one of my weaknesses is to be so dispersed. Is that a word?
Yeah, disperse typically means like if it's something that's like there's a little bit of too much going everywhere instead of trying to just
Yes.
focus on
And
one thing.
and I'm like multifunctional attention. I always deal that with this ADHD thing, and I know I can focus, but sometimes it takes me so much because I'm very impulsive, and I'm always like go wild by my instinct. Is my instinct to do this stuff, and I don't think too much. But now I'm like going into this awareness of how to hold my horses and to focus, that it's very important. And I feel that's so different in this exact moment of my life, because I've been improvising everything all my life. I had no I don't know, preparation for many things, but I just decided to say fuck it. Let's go as I am. Let's see how it goes. And all the time was like that. Now I feel more prepared and I feel more mature to focus and to turn on that switch of, okay, I'm dancing, but now I'm fighting and I'm gonna fuck you up, you know?
You don't gotta cover fuck you up, because we know that's what you do, so we're cool. But I was reading, you have so many interviews, so I've read a few of them, and I was like, wow, so she has like a thing where she's sensitive and she might get a little hyperactive at times, but she's able to keep her focus. Because watching you fight over these years now, I've been watching you fight 5 years now. Past 5 years of your career, I've been watching you come up. So I know exactly who you are and how you fight. You fight at an amazing pace. You fight with all your heart, and we respect it as fans. We love that. And I'm a huge fan of yours because of that. Because I was like, wow, this girl does not give a shit. She's fighting, and I like that. We don't always care, especially in my gym. We don't care much for the wins. It's like we like to scrap. We like to fight. That's
Yeah.
what we're here for. That's what we love. So I love watching you fight because of that. You do have that energy, and that's always the bomb for us. So you've also embraced practices like yoga, deep state meditation, the whole the mermaid thing that we just talked about, how you refer to yourself as a mermaid, which is actually really fitting, and then a warrior for Mother Nature. I really love that. But as a spiritual person, do you feel like spirituality influences how you fight, or maybe when you're in the fight, do you feel like that connection? Because I know some fighters do.
Spirituality is for me like the main thing of my life. I never do like things with no soul. I try to, I don't even try. It's just who I am. Um, it's like this martial artist path is an spiritual path for me, and I'm always into this development and learning. And of course you express who you are in everything you do, so it's something that a lot of people can actually understand with no saying anything, and more with this mother nature thing, because it's something that is just natural of me. I've always loved to be in nature, to camp, to camping, and to share that with other people. For me, the most important thing in life is to protect nature and to spread awareness of what is really important for us as a humans, as a organic matter. And then we are so separated from the nature that is, of course, the source of all problems, all the mental health issues and everything else is because we are separated of what we really are. And as a humans, we need to be aware of that.
Yeah, I think you put it extremely well. Because it's weird, because as a group of hominids, we seem to be the farthest away from nature. As all the other hominids, in turn, they live in nature, but we're the only ones that separated ourselves from it and then limit our interaction. And I think that that's a really strange one, because then you see those people, they're considered phenomenal to most people, and they're like, oh wow, their connection to the earth is so deeply rooted. It's like, well, have you tried to connect yourself to the earth? Look at the guys like Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira went back to his tribe, and he's deeply connected with his people. He's deeply connected with the nature. I mean, the jaguar is his favorite animal in the world, and it makes sense. It's from his homeland, and how it hunts, and how it continues to be the apex predator and be loved and respected by the people. So I thought that was pretty dope. And then I saw kind of that similar flow that you have as well. And we do have to have a connection to Mother Nature better. And we need to protect it too, because we only get this one home that we live on, and you got to definitely take care of it. But moving on to your career, you've also done some combat jiu-jitsu recently. You were at Subversive. Amazing event. I got to watch it on Flow. I was losing my mind. I was like, yo, she is going ham. But did the introduction of the introduction of the strikes, did that match feel like a little bit of a natural fit for you in that particular rule set of combat jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I was so calm, so in my environment. It was like, oh man, this is my sport, and I was like coming home all the time. I felt that way. And then I realized some things about my game and about, hey, you don't need to slap so much. So I mean, you can hold the position and, work more in the grappling, in the jiu-jitsu, but I was just into slap the shit out of this girl. But it's my nature, right? What can I say?
I'm not mad at that. I think Eddie Bravo would be very happy. Let me tell you, because I know he loves that, and his combat jujitsu. That's his whole world right now. So we're trying to see more of that in jujitsu. So I don't think you need to apologize. That was phenomenal, and I hope that you do another match in the future. We'd love to watch you, especially if you do CJJ. But
Yeah.
that would be something that I would be. I'm first dollar. I have UFC Fight Pass. I would be there sitting on my couch watching this one. I was watching your last fight with Diana Avsaragova. I'm so sorry, Diana. I don't
No
mean to be
way.
disrespectful. To the Pantera. I don't know how she got the nickname Pantera of all things. I was like, I thought she was Russian. But we're gonna move on. Many of us fans, myself included, felt like you got robbed. We were watching the fight, and ultimately, the biggest thing is like the judges ultimately make that last call, and it's the worst feeling in the world for anyone because you're like, damn, that was like way closer. That was so much better for me. And then again, a judge can just choose what they're seeing and go based on that. I wish we had a little bit more of a unified rule set that was like all around. But what lessons did you take away from it? Because I watched you win rounds 2 and 3 and just go dominate. And every time she threw something, it looked like the first round she looked confident, and then that second round I could see her start to like. Because it makes sense. If I hit you with my right hand and you keep coming at me, I'm going to start to go, oh my God, I don't hit hard. And it's going to mentally mess with me. But how did you not only deal with the loss, but then how did you take that? I'm like, okay, there's something I can learn from this.
Well, it was very hard to deal with the last losses streaks, but it's like that one, I didn't felt like a loss. So I was sticking to that. Like I improved, I'm so much better now. But still, as we talked before, like I cannot just go to fight. I need to prepare me for winning. And that requires a strategy, not just going and going and going. And that's what I'm taking out of that. Like now I'm not only in the position of, yeah, everyone knows I'm tough, but that's not the point right now. I need to be smart and I need to fight smart. I need to demonstrate that right now I'm experienced and yeah, that's what I want to show in this next fight, that I have the patience, that I can do my fight with no running into her, because that's what happened before. And also a lot of things that I've never talked about that because I don't like to make excuses or say, oh, she didn't make weight. That happened twice. And even in the last fight, like, why do you even choose that girl if she missed weight? But it happens, and I don't like to regret anything. It's like it is how it is, and let's move on. Let's make things different. Like let's adjust, and that's it. That's how I'm feeling right now.
I respect you for that because I was going to say she came in 3.5 pounds overweight. I was fuming, and then the judge didn't show. I mean, that fight was a shit show on that day, and usually Bellator holds amazing cards, so I was a little shocked. But I was really pissed off that she had missed weight, and then like it was a lackluster performance on her behalf. I'm sure she's not happy with that performance herself. She's probably like, crap, I lost, but they just kind of gave it to me. It edged out. And like you said, you're just gonna take it and keep going. But I'm gonna say it for you. I was fuming when they gave her that win. I was like, where? In what country? Where? What were you seeing? I don't know what you were seeing, but we were definitely watching two different fights. By the way, your first form kit, excuse me, was freaking amazing. That was the first time I'd seen an athlete with the first form kit, and I was like, oh, that's a thing now, and I was excited to see that. So congrats to being the first one for that one. And then we're looking at your next challenge with La Loba in May. Do you believe in her hype? Like, is her hype something that you think is like acclimated because she's gained it? In my opinion, she doesn't have enough experience to have the kind of hype she has. Not that she's not a good fighter. She's a great fighter. I respect her. But are there any specific weaknesses in her game that you're preparing to exploit? And has like training with, like you said, you were with Team Grasso, with Alexa Grasso. Did that help you prepare for this match specifically because of that style?
Yes, of course, the Grassos team have helped me so much with this preparation and on encountering, like, founding my center, and as you say, I have more experience, and as I say, like, hey, this is the moment to show that, and more because of her style and my style. It's not about brawling and that's it. No, it's about having a strategy and moving the right way and having a plan. But breaking news, Lova is injured. So the fight changed. And now I'm facing Gisela Luna, who is an Argentinian girl who took the fight last minute. Okay, maybe 1 month before. And I'm grateful for that because I still gonna fight and everything, and I hope to face Lova after. I also respect her, and I want to face her too because what you say that is her hype, and it's the superstar of Combate, and that's gonna be great for us to prove to as a challenge.
Yeah, I was reading up on her, but I hadn't seen that be like announced just yet. Maybe it was announced and I just didn't see it. My apologies. But
Yes, don't worry.
I'm sorry that was, that happened. It sucks when somebody pulls up, but you know what? She's injured. That's the right move to make. I'm happy that Giselle stepped up because now, we have a new challenger that we can work with. I'm sure you're probably already studying tons of film going. I know what this is that I'm looking at. Her name sounds familiar, and like you said, from Argentina, so I know like 2 or 3 fighters from Combate that.
Yeah, it's called La Emperatriz.
There you go. I had a feeling I had heard that before because I was like, that name sounds familiar. She's solid, so that's gonna be a great fight because we're gonna get these 2 fighters who know what they're doing, and we're all hyped for this one. We're gonna be ready to go. Combate gonna be like, yo, we have higher ratings than normal. Like I can tell you why. I can
Yeah.
circle the fight that made me watch, so I can give you that one. But you are Colombian and your heritage. And then you moved to Mexico, which, like you said, because the culture kind of helped you feel like you weren't as closeted and like, okay, this is closer to what I know. This made me feel like I'm at home. But do you feel like the cultural elements between Colombia and Mexico have played significant roles in the way that you fight and your competitive spirit?
Of course, definitely. And more is because of my work with Lobo Gym, because they are the expression of Mexican boxing, and that's something that develops my style into something different. I came as a karate girl, and then I start adding, okay, wrestling, okay, jiu-jitsu, but then the Mexican boxing was what made me more dangerous and yeah, the fighter that I am right now.
Phenomenal. I had a feeling too because that gym, Lobo Gym, is getting a lot of love and respect. We're seeing their athletes come up. Aldana, I believe, is on that team as well. Like there are some phenomenal fighters coming out of that gym, and it's pretty
Yeah,
scary to watch them
Diego
compete.
Lopez, Alessandro
Mm-hmm.
Costa, Lupi Godinez, and all of these guys who are also fighting in Mexico and doing great performances. And yeah, that's very inspiring. And Francisco Grasso, it's an amazing coach. I respect him so much, and I'm glad of working with him. Also, I was working here in San Diego these last months because I was working a lot in my wrestling and just taking some opportunities and the door that opened for me here and also this aquatic part, a lot of things that I'm also still working with them. They're my team, so that's great.
Yeah. I mean, that gym again has a tremendous amount of work put in, and now we're seeing the fruits of that labor. Like you said, Diego Lopez. I mean, that fight where you said you
You're shocking the world.
I was like, he's gonna win, and people were like, how do you know Diego Lopez is gonna win? I was like, I have a feeling he's gonna win. And somebody actually texted me 5 minutes before the fight. They go, hey, I have 5 minutes to put in like a bet. Who should I bet on? I go, bet on the Mexican kid on the left. And he goes, okay, by how? And I go, I give it knockout, but I would say round 2. But you know what? Just put knockout. Don't put the specifics. I have no idea because he's nice. Right then, as I said it, he put it in. He said, dude, you just got me like, $150. That was great. I was like, man, this kid can crack. He's so tall and lanky. He's got great striking.
And an amazing jiu-jitsu, of course.
his jiu-jitsu was, I saw most of his jiu-jitsu in Lux. I haven't seen it in the UFC yet, but when he was in Lux, I mean, the way he was beating dudes up, I was like, yo, who is this guy? I need to find out. And then I saw Coach Grasso in his corner, and I was like, that's why. He's got one of the best coaches in the world in his corner. No stuff. You know, the guy's smart. He knows what
The
he's
best
doing here.
mix.
That's how you make the best fighters in the world. And with Alexa currently shooting the Ultimate Fighter, I'm pretty sure that like her time is split, but I'm sure she's still putting in work as well. With BJJ, we did the Subversive, and among those BJJ rule sets, because I know you've competed in BJJ several times, but is there one style or one rule set that stands out as your favorite so far?
Well, I was exploring like this once. Okay, I got my surgery and then I was ready to fight. And then when that didn't happen, I started competing and exploring myself. And then I just realized that IBJJF doesn't work that good for me because I love leg locks. And then I got DQ in a couple fights because of that. And I wasn't that good to read all the rules. And I had no corner. I was just competing by myself, like as always. I told you before. But then I learned very important things, and I just love that what I'm discovering from myself, from who I am when I'm wrestling, when I'm grappling, and yeah, I'm just putting everything together. Also, I just started working with Budokan, that it's movement martial arts that it's based in Montana and also Miami, and this guy just showed me some amazing stuff that is like, okay, who you are and what you're doing to you know develop your own skills and use it on your favor. So that's great.
Yeah, movement is not given the respect that it should have. Like a lot of animal flow people, they get like, I've had friends like clown them, and I'm like, you don't understand how hard that is. I've done it twice, and I thought I was dying. It's so difficult to move in ways you're not used to, and you should because your body's meant to move that way. It's not supposed to be just linear. You're
Yeah,
supposed to bend everywhere and stretch and move out and get really nice and loose and limber.
Yeah, and also for the health of the joints of the body, and that's why I was so interested in that because of my back issues and everything. That's very helpful right now.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I mean, I'm overweight. That's why my back hurts. So I can figure that one out already. But like you said, it's developing those rule sets and learning from these rule sets. Is fantastic. I agree with you. I'm not a IBJJF guy. I have the fuck IBJJF rash guard. I love that fucking thing because I don't like their style. Like you can't do leg locks, you can't do knee bars. That actually brought me back to that meme. Remember the knee bar guy? That you can't do knee bars. That there was a really epic video on YouTube for years, and
Yeah,
he
I
got
felt
the
that way
DQ
a
for the
couple
knee
times.
bar. I was dying laughing. He was so upset. But that video comes up every year, like around November, and we just share it in my team. But
Yeah.
if you could compete across any of the rule sets, not just the discipline of jiu-jitsu, but in other disciplines as well, like karate combat or an Eddie Bravo Invitational, which one would you like to choose and why?
Well, I love combat jiu-jitsu, of course, because it's very like natural for me. But also karate combat is something that it's very attractive to me, and I'm open to the possibilities. I mean, also like regular grappling, EBI, I love those rules too. So let's just say I'm open to everything right now.
That makes a lot of sense. And I, I was like, I think she's gonna say CJJ because that's what I think too. It definitely looked good and subversive. I was like, man, she's hammering. This is gonna be great, and that's what they like me in combat jiu-jitsu. Most of the fans that watch it, especially with the fans in Mexico, when you go to Cancun, you got to put on a show. You can't just sit there and do some boring shit. So that kind of made sense. It's 2 and 2 made 4 real quick for me, but I wanted to know from your own mouth and your own words. But looking ahead, and what's the trajectory you would visualize? I would say visualize because I don't want to say envision because I'm pretty sure you do visualization drills. But over the next, let's say 3 years of your career, is there anything that you can visualize already as far as like specific milestones you're aiming at or something that you want to achieve over the next 3 years in your career?
Well, I definitely gonna go back to big leagues, and that's for sure, and even sooner than later. But I'm not sure the way I don't really like to talk about future is just a part of myself because I don't like to close the possibilities. Maybe UFC is a possibility now, but I'm focused on the next step. And my next step is winning my next fights. Now I'm fighting for winning, and that's it.
Of course, the win streak is what we're looking for. We know that you have it. I mean, 16 fights into your career, you fought some folks that I've seen a lot of people dodge some of your opponents on purpose. Like, I've seen the fight, and then I've looked at the fighter in the division and gone, okay, are you going to take the fight? And then next thing you know, Alejandra Lara's agreed to fight her. I'm like, no, really, I'm not too surprised there. So I respect you for that. At least you took the hard fights, and now you know. So we're all hoping to see you in the UFC, of course. But upon inspiration, who were the fighters that influenced you to become a fighter? Or, like, who was your favorite fighter growing up?
Okay, when I started fighting, I didn't watch MMA fights. I didn't even know what I was doing, They just say, oh, and elbows, okay, let's go. But then I discovered, of course, these guys that had the same background of karate, like Leo Machida and George St. Pierre karate, the karate hottie, Mitchell Watterson, and those people. Oh, Demetrius Johnson. They are martial artists, and I respect that so much when they are so humble and they work on being good people. And then Rose Namajunas. I actually have her shirt. This Rose Namajunas shirt.
Doug Rose.
And yeah, for me, she is one of the biggest badasses in the fight world, and it's so well rounded, so good at everything. And when she was so focused, that inspired me a lot. And yeah, that's one of my biggest inspiration.
That makes perfect sense, man. Doug Rose is a one in a lifetime fighter. I think you are too. We're gonna see that slowly develop outward. But just before I let you go, this is my final question for you for today. When your fighting days are over and you get to have that moment, you take the gloves off. That's the emotional send off. You get the video and everything. You put the gloves in the middle of the cage, and you're like, all right, my competitive days in this sport are behind me. What exactly do you hope to leave behind as far as your legacy?
Well, the first thing comes into my mind, it's music. I will have more time to do music because I love to sing, and that's part of what I want to do. Also to write, also like to teach, because that's something that I've always had in myself, that I want to be a teacher, and let's see in what area. But yeah, and I don't know. I'm open to that too. Let's see.
That's phenomenal.
Also, well, I'm commentating fights now, and I'm into that. I'm working for this league in Mexico, Supreme Fight Night, and also for Empire MMA in Colombia. And yeah, there's a lot going on there. I want to help some other fighters to go, because there are still a lack of opportunities, and they just need a little push to go further. And I love being part of that process too.
That's beautiful. Like, I don't think you could have put it down a little better than that. I know that we spoke about your next fight, but for the fans at home, let them know what you have coming up next.
Coming up next, it's the constant improving. I'm obsessed with that, and with being better every day, on learning every day, and to share that with the people around, to inspire some people, the new generation, the girls out there who needs more security, the self-confidence, right? And I love being an inspiration for those girls, and also for those warriors out there that just need that push to say, you can do it, just trust, just believe in yourself. And that's it.
Phenomenal. So just to make sure that we have it, is the fight date still going to be in May for the fight with Luba?
Yeah, May 11th. That doesn't change.
All right, Combate Global, May 11th. You heard it here first. As you know, Alejandra Lara, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for all that you've given us today. Thank you to all of you who are watching for your curiosity. As always, I hope you keep your peace and may you continue. Alejandra, thank you so much and take care.
Thank you for having me, and don't miss that fight.
Absolutely, we got it. And then I'm going to make sure to put your Instagram in the description for any of you that want to follow her, continue to see her career. Go ahead into the description of the video make sure that you like and comment and subscribe. And of course, follow so that you can see what's going on in Alejandra's life. And we can continue to watch her kick ass and take people's names. And hopefully, when she does the combat jiu-jitsu match, I can talk all types of shit. Alejandra, again, thank you so much and take care.
Thank you. See you.
Bye-bye.